Hi, everyone. Welcome to season 6 of the 15-ish minute coffee chat, a conversation providing tips for every entrepreneur and business owner.
Is it fear of failure or fear of success that makes us sabotage our own business growth? Join myself, Selena Conmackey of Hauoli Socially Inspired, and Anna Larson of NomadAbout with guests, I have to say this slow, guys, Courtney Boyer of Courtnney Boyer Coaching to discuss ways to... I know, right? We're going to discuss ways to overcome the fear, make confident decisions, and how to trust yourself. Okay, so true confession, right? We always prep for our shows, and I say this part in our show, and I could not for the life of me, I couldn't say Courtney Boyer fast. I was saying Courtney Boyer, and I was just. I was like, I can't do it. And then I said, look, I have to say it twice in a row. I think I'm going to mess this up. So I don't even know why.
Well, I just want anyone who's listening right now, just try saying it like 6 times fast. Like, seriously, it's not just Selena. Like, her name, anyway, I love her name, right? But Courtney Boyer, it's a tongue twister, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely, when Courtney comes on, we're going to ask her, like, hey, say your name 3 times fast without, like, doing what Selena just did, you know?
Exactly.
All right, Anna, share with everybody, what is this call to action question that we want to have them answer?
Yeah, so today we're talking about success and failure. So I want to know, do you fear success? So if you're watching right now, pop into the comments, do you fear success? Like, which is kind of a crazy question, right? Because most people are, no, I'm going for it. I'm going to do it. But when it's looming right there, how do you really feel about it? Because it's a huge responsibility. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and we're going to get into this with Courtney today, but yeah. So if you're listening, pop into the comments. First, tell us who you are and where you're from. We'd love to know all about you, but then tell us, do you fear success?
Yeah, great question, Anna. I cannot wait. I would love to hear what everybody has to say. So I'm going to pop up Courtney's bio and we're going to get to it. I'm going to have you start, Anna, because I can't say her name.
Okay. So Courtney Boyer is a clinically trained mental health and sex therapist turned success coach and Reiki practitioner. She believes the mind and body are inextricably linked, and when realigned, allow individuals to elevate to their next level. She helps high achievers stuck in the elusive success cycle heal from their past so they can receive their future. So a little bit about personal Courtney. She's been married to an active duty Army physician for 16 years, has 3 kids, and they're currently stationed in Germany. So she's tuning in from Germany right now.
Yeah.
And they love living the Oconus life. And Oconus, for anyone that doesn't know, it just means not on the mainland of the United States of America.
Yeah.
So when you're Oconus in the military, that's what that means. So we're excited to have Courtney join us. And let me pull her up.
Hi, Courtney.
Welcome, Courtney.
First thing, can you say your name 3 times fast? I just want to know.
Okay, Courtney Boyer. Courtney Boyer.
Ooh. Hey, I don't know why. I was like, why would I stumble? Anyway, all right.
I don't know if anyone else has ever had the issue, for it's just Selena and I, but it really was a tongue twister. And we were like, Courtney Boyer.
Yeah. Or I would try to merge Courtney and Boyer in your first name. And I was like looking at Anna through Zoom, like, what is my problem? Like, I don't get it. Well, okay. All that aside, welcome to the show, Courtney. We are so excited to have you. I know Anna and I have seen you like all over the place in LinkedIn, on Facebook, and you're just like, this is exciting. I'm like, when we were like, yes. So I guess let's get our coffee cup selfie out of the way.
Let's start with our coffee cup selfie. So if you're tuning in, pop up your coffee cup and take a selfie with us.
We're excited.
Drinking coffee.
Yeah,
I'm not drinking coffee. Sorry,
guys. It is 8 p.m. in Germany right now, so this is well-deserved. She needs a beer. So if you have a beer or a cup of Joe, put it up. All right, on 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you for our honorary coffee cup selfie, Courtney. All right, Anna, let's dig into this.
Yeah, we're going to dig right in. So we got a couple of good questions for Courtney today. Yeah. And as you know, our topic is all about sabotaging your success, right? So our very first question is going to be, How have you seen small business owners sabotage their success, and how does it manifest physically and mentally?
Yes. Oh gosh. Okay. So I saw this really firsthand with my dad. So really what brought me into this, because right, how do you go from sex therapy to success? That's kind of a big jump. And so what ended up happening was I started in like the sex therapy and mental health realm, and then started to slowly creep over just to relationships. And then I saw a lot of the clients that I had were like just struggling and stuck in this success cycle, and wanting to do more, be more, all the things. And then, but they were miserable. They were disconnected. And I saw it in my dad. I saw it with him just constantly trying to achieve more and be more. And he ultimately passed away at 62 from a condition he totally preventable. And so for me, ever since then, the last few years have really been focused on helping entrepreneurs and just everyone to understand and bring awareness to this draw and pull to success, and that need to feel successful, and really help them to figure out what it's really about. So your question is, how do I see small business owners sabotage their success? So one is, consciously, we think we want to be successful. We're like, yeah, of course I want $1 million. Of course I want to be like on the cover of Forbes. Of course I want all of these things. But subconsciously, if it doesn't feel safe for us, whether it's physically, right? So if you have a history of sexual abuse, if you have a history of not growing up in a place where you feel safe and like your physical and emotional well-being are taken care of, then adding more success on top of that draws attention. It draws judgment from other people. It draws criticism. And so what happens is, when we're not ready to receive that success and all of those things that come with it, is our mind starts to sabotage it. So we will, and sometimes this will develop physiologically or physically. So like I'm supposed to give a presentation, and all of a sudden I have laryngitis. I can't speak now. It's like, you've been working so hard on this project and this research, and you're able to present it, but you're doubting yourself. Your self-worth is low. You're afraid of, it's different for every person, but those are just some of the examples that I see with individuals who, right, they think they want that success, but like really they haven't like healed their past and really worked through that baggage to be like, ooh, do I really want to be successful?
Yeah. So two things I heard you say. One, this is a really personal topic for you, because it's something that you saw exhibited in your family, and then ultimately your father passed away from something that, from some of the elements, I guess, of behind this conversation today. So first of all, wow, right? Like that's a poignant part of this conversation. But then secondary to that no matter what background you have, like there could be some super trauma, but even if you just have mild anxiety or don't like to be showcased in front of people, when that presents itself, I love that you said, if you don't feel safe in that space, then you're going to start to self-sabotage. Right. So that's really, I'd love to dig a little bit deeper into that, of like, what do you do with that? Like that self-sabotage,
So what does the self-sabotage look like, or what do you do with it when you realize you're self-sabotaging?
I would say, what do you do I think that what it would look like would be different for everyone, I'm assuming, right? So what would you do with it once you recognize it?
Yeah, I think bringing awareness to it. One of the things that I always try to do is try to figure out, like, I try to see the things in my life that I'm struggling with, or even in my client's life when we're working through things, as just evidence gathering. So instead of it like being something that's yes, there are some things that are really terrible and overwhelming, but if we're able to really see it as something that works for us and is something that's meant to teach us. So like, what is my hesitation and my self-sabotage? Like, what's that really about? And so, for example, if it's, I don't feel safe. Like, I come from a family where nobody has money. And so if I all of a sudden make money, then people are going to think that I'm better than them, that I'm no longer one of the crowd. And we have this biological need to connect with individuals and humans. And that primitive part of our brain hasn't caught up to modern day society where it's okay. We're not going to die if we live alone and, do our own thing. So one, just bringing that awareness and then starting to dig in and be like, okay, so what's this really about? Like, am I scared of the attention? Am I afraid that people are going to think that I'm better than them? Sometimes women, we are afraid that people are going to think we're bitchy or we're assertive or like, or she slept her way to the top or whatever it is. We're afraid of those labels that come with it. So awareness, really dig into what that's about and then decide, what do I need to heal and like, how can I work through this in order to start creating and attracting the success that I want?
I love that.
I want to say, like, it obviously things that happen in your personal life, are connected to how you sometimes run your businesses. Not that I never thought of it, but then when you said something earlier, I was like, whoa, there is a reason why I have sabotaged my success previously. And I almost could track it to why I do it. And now, but I just never connected the two until right now.
Hey,
and
I'm so glad.
So yeah, like, wow.
Yeah. So when you kind of give like 3 different pieces to answer that last question, I kind of want to focus for just a second on the second part, because that was actually our next question for you, which is, you say the most important question someone could ask is, what am I making this mean?
Absolutely.
So can we go a little deeper about how this applies to self-sabotage, overcoming self-sabotage, and like that whole thing that we do?
Yeah. So let me give you an example of, for myself. So this first quarter, I had the most successful quarter I've ever had. It was just phenomenal, really like great opportunities, connecting with people, financially, all of the things. And I thought I was ready, right, to receive that and continue it. And then I kind of started to self-sabotage my health. So like I wasn't eating healthy anymore. I wasn't being as physically active as I was. So it doesn't have to be something where you're like, I'm just going to blow all my money and like it's all gone. It's just these like little daily decisions where I'm like, I don't really need to meditate as much. I don't really need to reach out or do this. Like I still, was present for my clients. I still did. But like my heart was so like my unconscious was really nervous and really like, but what if this does take off? What if I'm not around for my kids? What if all of these things? And so I finally, when I figured out what I was doing, I was like, okay, what do I ask my clients all the time? What am I making it mean that this second quarter of the year wasn't as successful as the first quarter? Am I making it mean that I'm a failure, that it's really just luck that from the first quarter, like, no, Courtney, you're not actually as successful as you think you are? And so asking that question, what am I making it mean, is really like the game changer for how I approach situations and then how I encourage my clients to approach things. So I had a conversation with a client earlier. Her and her partner are, trying, like, she has kiddos, her partner doesn't have kiddos. They're trying to blend, two families together and make it work. And there's some issues coming up, and something came up today. And she was like, oh, I can't, I don't know what to do, And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. What are you making it mean that your partner feels differently about this? And it's like, ooh, okay, right. It takes the emotional like sting out of it. And we start to take into that observer role and be like, okay, I'm making it mean that like, I'm not really lovable, and that I'm not going to find, because I don't believe that I'm deserving of good things, right? It didn't come that quickly, but eventually, like, that's what it came down to, is through a series of questioning and supporting her. She's like, okay, now I totally understand it. It's not believing that I'm worthy of receiving this person's love and support. And so that's what I made it mean when this issue flared up.
It almost feels like imposter syndrome in all areas of your life.
I was gonna ask that. Like, right? Is it different from imposter syndrome? Like, is it two things really? Because one is about like really sabotaging yourself so you don't succeed, and one is not feeling like you're worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. The way I see imposter syndrome is like, I don't really feel like I'm qualified. Like I'm like pretending that I think I know what I'm doing, and that but like I pulled like a sham over everyone, like, haha, see guys, I really I'm clueless. And yet you bought into it, suckers, whereas the self-sabotaging is your unconscious beliefs are like, you don't belong here. Like this isn't going to last. Good things don't happen long-term for you. This is not going to this is a fluke. Like, don't get used to this type of thing. Does that make sense? The difference?
It's almost like the next level down from imposter syndrome. It's kind of like that core of inside you. Yep. Like, what do I really feel like I deserve as a human being, as a mom, as an owner, business owner, like all those things. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So since we have a little bit of time, I'm curious. So you recognize it. So your friend here, this woman, your client here, she recognizes that she's not worthy of love, right? Mm-hmm. Long term in this sense. And as a business owner, we can relate that however we want. I'm not worthy of a fabulous second quarter. I'm not worthy of making my profit goals or whatever that is. What do you do with that then? What's next? Where do you go?
Yeah. So there's a process that I take my clients through called mental and emotional release. It's a neuro-linguistic programming technique. Try saying that one 3 times. That's a tough one. So that's something that I'm trained in and kind of get the fast track to removing limiting beliefs. But when I'm not in a session and I'm just offering support with her, which is something I offer my clients in between sessions, is just bringing that awareness of like, oh, that's interesting that you're going back to this belief that we've worked on. What's causing that? Like, what's that really about? And giving really ourselves permission to release that and let it go, because we believe things because they serve us. So even if it doesn't make logical sense, like I believe that, it's safe to go outside, or it's safe for me to send my kids, or it's safe for me to drive to work. I believe that so I can successfully hold a job and take my kids to school. If I believe that the world is not a safe place, then that's going to allow me to stay inside and to shut people out and do the things. So our beliefs serve us. And when we bring attention to them and realize, you know what, this actually isn't serving me. Yes, it's keeping me safe because my brain's trying to protect me from hurt and pain and all of the things that being in a relationship and being a human, allow us to experience. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to choose something differently. So it's about really rewiring our not neurotransmitters. Why can't I think of this? Our the little thingies in our brain. And I can't think of what they're called.
I mean, it is nighttime, bedtime where you are. So that's your pass right there, Courtney, because I'd love to say I know those words, but I did not do well in those categories in high school.
I was going to say for laymen, those little thingies in your brain is perfect. I mean, we all get that. Okay. Those little thingies.
Yes. So it's about rewiring it. Think of it like you're riding a bike. If you've ridden a bike one way to your friend's house so long, that grass, right? It's got a dent in it. It's got a trail. Yeah. A path.
Yes.
And so the brain is the same way. If I have this path in my brain from point A to point B of like, oh, this, and then I'm not worthy, right? It's going to continue to light up every time this thing happens. So what we do is we try to create new beliefs and situations and gain evidence and start with small wins, then to the big wins, so that we can take a new bike path. And so we let that old one grow back over, and in our brain, the old one dies, and then the new little boop, boop, boop are lit up. And so it creates a new path, a new way of thinking, but it requires intentionality, because our default for a lot of us is that negative, like, well, this sucks. This is never going to work. Like, why do I even try?
Yeah. I feel like you must run into a lot of like people that appear confident on the outside, but when it really comes down to what they believe about themselves on the inside, you're just seeing like, I just want to call them, timid little children, right? Like we're all like afraid that something bad's going to happen, or in some sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I work with so many like high achievers, that you look at them on paper and they look incredible. Like the degrees they have, the income they have, the adventures and the kids, and yet they are still like, they're unfulfilled, they're disconnected, they're just like, is this it? Like I did all the things I was supposed to do, and I'm still unhappy. And it's really like not their fault, because we've really been sold this, you work really hard and you go to school and you get a job and you work really hard than that. And then everything's supposed to be wonderful and happy. And that's not how it works.
Yeah.
I know this is like really what you're saying to me reminds me of like, when you are really hungry for something and if you don't eat it, but you eat something different, you're not satisfied because you haven't satisfied. Like I would like chocolate ice cream and all I had was like boring vanilla. And you're like, okay, like I ate, but it's what I wanted was not there. So there's like not this complete satisfaction. And that makes me think of it in that way when you explain it like that. I don't know. I love food and coffee, so I think it's just that,
analogies. That's great.
I know.
This is really this is such an interesting topic because I think it applies across literally every aspect of business. Like especially as an entrepreneur or small business owner, like there's all these, because you are all the things and you wear all the hats and there's nobody else for you to put any blame on. So when these things do happen, there is that feeling of lack of worth, or I'm doing it all wrong, or the losing of the confidence. But you also know on the outside, you can't appear that way, right? On the outside, you have to continue to be the strong, fabulous business owner that knows everything, right? Like I am an expert in all things. So that's really interesting. Okay, so if anyone out there is feeling at all any kind of the way we've been talking, the self-sabotaging, the lack of worth, or the even the dissatisfaction, you've done all the things and you're still not finding you're happy, right? Yeah. Then this is the woman you need to come talk to.
Like no, for sure. And I mean, you just tap into little things. Sometimes they ask one question and it like opens up the realization of like, oh. And why would you not want to invest in yourself to make yourself better for your business? You know what I mean? Like those are those little things that you just, some are resistant and then some are like, no, okay, I get it, but hopefully you'll choose to, because I think this is like a fantastic way to invest in yourself. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Well, and I think it would be hard to do this on your own, because even if you ask yourself those questions, like, am I really being honest with myself? The answer is probably no, because I want to believe I believe a certain way. Yeah. So I want to answer the questions positively. Am I worthy of this? Absolutely, I am. Right. But when you really dig down deep, then you discover, okay, I don't really feel like I am. I really don't feel like I deserve these things.
Well, and that's the funny thing too, is I always say, like, your actions are your evidence. And so I'll have clients be like, yeah, of course, Courtney, I'm so happy. And I'm like, and yet you're like drinking a bottle of wine every night. Or you are like spending all the money and you're not like paying your employees. So so that's not enough, and that's my job, is to bring the accountability and to say, hey, look, I know it doesn't make sense. Like, this is not something that we're taught. And my job is to help like bring it up in a safe place where people feel like they can process it and release it in a safe place with someone who's been trained and knows what they're doing and knows how to like help them on their path.
Yeah. Yes. If your brain thingies need some rewiring, folks.
Oh my gosh. Neural pathways. There we go. Neural pathways.
Neural pathways, guys. We're going to put that in the podcast description. You will know how to spell it even.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Hey, look, we said it was very casual, Courtney. You didn't need to bring the big words to this episode today. You know what I mean? Like, we're easy here. That's how we like to talk.
I love it. I love
it. No, that's great. Okay, so why don't we bring up, Anna, like, where people can find Courtney, because that is like what we want. So Courtney, take it away. Tell everybody where they need to find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at Courtney Boyer Coaching. Courtney Boyer Coaching.
Like, say that 4 times there, guys.
Right. And then my website is CourtneyBoyerCoaching.com.
Awesome.
You can't not find her, you guys. And she just has, I don't know, great stuff. And I've been following you for a while. So I'm a little like geeking out, like, oh my God, I'm talking to Courtney in real life.
Oh my gosh.
I know. No. So again, we will have this in the podcast description. So make sure you guys take a look at, go to the links, go to where you want to go. Yeah. So Anna.
LinkedIn. She writes great stuff on LinkedIn. I love reading her LinkedIn posts. So
for sure.
Our financial tip jar today. This is your business tip. The IRS is sending a lot of random notices these days, often about credits and refund changes. Keep all that documentation. You're going to want it for later. Yeah. And we are in the second half of the year, people. So taxes are a reality that are coming up. So I don't want to freak you out now. I know it's only August, almost to September, but that is the second half of the year. So
you're already late if you're not thinking about it, guys, because we all know, like,
right.
So big thanks to Caitlin from Caitlin Eldridge,
yes,
LLC. She's wonderful. All right, go ahead, Anna. Let's talk about this with Courtney. See, I said Courtney with Courtney. Yeah, I don't know. I'm from Boston, I guess. I don't know.
Courtney. I'm going to let Courtney talk about it. We have two different toolkits from Courtney today. This is the first one. So Courtney, tell us about your self-coaching guide and how they can get it.
Yeah. So when I was creating like a service and a way to really connect with just my community, I was trying to think of like, gosh, how am I different than other coaches? So I know I talked about my dad earlier, but one thing a lot of people don't know is that he was a private investigator. And so he was like a human lie detector, and he knew how to ask the right questions. And so that's something that I really gained from him and just would witness and just admired about him. And so that's one thing I get from my clients a lot is the response of, that's a really great question. So what I did is I put together the 8 questions that I ask the most of myself and my clients, because I never share something that I don't use personally or try or utilize on the daily. And so that's what this self-coaching guide is. It's just 8 questions that you can ask yourself in pretty much any situation that you're feeling stuck in or frustrated with or angry about or whatever. And it'll help guide you.
It's so good.
It is so good.
Yeah. One question, Courtney, having a dad that was a private investigator, was that like hard? Like you couldn't, like, could you really sneak out? I mean, if you snuck out, if you find out, like, you know what I mean?
No, he knew everything. Like, and he was so intuitive, and I didn't know that that's what it was back then, but he just knew things about people. And I was like, what? So that's something that I've been starting to realize that's kind of a gift that I've been, not kind of, it is a gift that's been given to me too, is like, great. There is that intuition that I've got. So,
And not everybody has that. So if you do have it, it is truly a gift for sure.
Yeah. So head to Courtney's website to get this one. And then do you want to slide the slide, and let's do the second one. Yeah. So tell us about this Feel Better. This is coming up. It's kind of, she just sent it to us today. I think it's something she just came up. So talk to us a little bit about your Feel Better workshop and what people can expect from it.
Yeah, thank you for including this. I know it was super last minute. I just put it together probably like Friday or something. Here in the larger Kaiserslautern and Ramstein military community, we've had a huge response to the refugee crisis and the collapse of Afghanistan. And so as a military spouse, especially, I wanted to offer just a safe place where I can offer tools for people to help them cope and to help them process just easier. And so there's several coping strategies and techniques that I'll teach. It's completely free. There's no pitch. I'm not selling anything. I just want people to have a few tools in their toolbox so that they feel like a little bit less alone. Like, okay, this is hard and I can do hard things. So let me pull out one of these tools and do it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And thank you for creating something like in a space, Courtney, for people to kind of come together, because it has been a little rough. So it's nice to know that somebody can come to you and help process like what they're going through and how they're feeling. Right. So
thank you. And then we have a large military spouse. Like we go into a military spouse group, a couple of different ones. So if you are a military spouse and you're feeling like you need something like this, then for sure it's Wednesday at noon Eastern. Yeah. So it's coming right up. So make sure you hop on to that link right there, and we'll pop that in the comments. And hop onto that link and register for Courtney's free, no selling anything, just safe space to kind of find your way. So
Right.
thank you, Courtney.
Yeah.
It's open to everyone. So you don't have to be
Sweet.
a military spouse, but
Oh.
it's open to anyone. So
Okay.
yeah.
That's even more fantastic, Courtney.
Even more, right?
And you can call her Courtney. I mean, she might be like, oh, I know where I heard this from.
It's gonna be
Another
another
icebreaker. Say my name 3 times fast.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Anna, where are we at this part?
All right. So, first of all, next week we
Yes.
have Inez Shuby, and she is in Australia, actually. So we're like all over the world for this.
Yeah,
next
Germany. Yeah.
So Inez
International.
talks about nutrition, and she is a plant-based like enthusiast. She calls herself a healthy food, a joyful healthy food junkie. And so she's just going to talk about some nutrition hacks for entrepreneurs, because people, it really does affect your productivity and your ability to do what you need to do. So we're just going to have a brief conversation about that with Inez, not next week, because next week's Labor Day here in the United States, but the week after. So the 13th of September, and we'll pop it onto our socials so you can find us there.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, find us at AnnaandSelena.com, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. We love to connect on LinkedIn, Facebook, any of the podcasts. And we cannot wait to connect with you. And don't forget to connect with Courtney as well. She's in all the same places. So thank you so much for joining us today. We cannot wait to have you. Yes, thank you. We really appreciate it. Selena's dog's barking clearly. So
sorry, Amazon showed up right at the end.
And
I
when
love
her
to say
dog
that.
started,
Coco's really upset that we have to let you go to sleep now or finish another beer or whatever, But okay, Courtney, it was an absolute pleasure for Anna and I to have you on today. And I think you really talked about a lot of important things that we do need to think about, whether we're ready now or later, just think about it, right?
Absolutely.
So and they know how to reach you. So don't not reach out.
All right.
Bookmark it. All right, guys.
We'll see you in 2 weeks, everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
Adios. Bye.
Cheers.